Hi, I'm Pat Barnard, Group Managing Editor for TMCnet, coming to you from IT Expo East 2011 in Miami. And joining me is Mike Ross, President of 4PSA. How you doing?
Great, good to see you, Patrick.
Good to see you. Welcome.
Well, it's always exciting to be at IT Expo. There's always something new to learn, and it's going to be that way this year, I know. So.
Okay, great. So, yeah, and welcome. Thanks very much for coming. I appreciate it. 4PSA is a provider of cloud-based unified communications, and I was just wondering if you could just tell me about your offering and what markets you're seeing rapid uptake for this particular hosted solution.
Well, as you know, communications is just mushrooming with mobility. The transition from enterprise solutions that were very proprietary to open standards. And our cloud solution allows not only the migration from those systems, but the integration in this mobility play that's going to be so popular with the popularity of smartphones and things like that. So we have this complete suite of applications that are part of our Voight Now professional platform that is a software as a service model. So you rent an instance per user,
right.
And you can provision it to have just a range of options from your basic soft switch functions with voicemail to IVRs to fax to conferencing to presence management to ACD queuing. If you're running a contact center, you can manage contact centers. It's a multi-tenant suite, so it's oriented toward carriers and service providers to put a lot of customers on and to manage and provision for them.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's an important clarification right there in terms of my introduction, is that you guys provide the software. You're not actually delivering the service itself.
Correct. Right now, we work through reseller channels, ISPs and carriers, or CIOs of companies that want to maintain control and manage their own switches for their distributed organization. It's a perfect solution for that. It's very easy to deploy. It runs on standard generic servers. And has a lot of capacity to grow and expand. It's infinitely scalable, which is hard to believe, but the architecture is proprietary to our technology. We call it 4-grid architecture.
Okay.
That's the 4 in 4PSA.
All right.
And that technology really gives this high resilience that is needed in telecom that a lot of on-premise switches didn't give a lot of thought to. Once you go to the cloud and have this resiliency, you don't have to worry about a particular server failing. There's failover.
Right.
There's the ability to expand just by growing more servers and connecting them to the 4-grid architecture. So we can scale essentially infinitely.
Right. Okay, great. Yeah, which is important. Now, I understand that the markets that you're playing strongest in right now are in Europe. Is that correct?
Correct. Our technology comes out of Europe, actually out of Romania, and our R&D team is there. We've been in Europe and Eastern Europe, Germany, Netherlands. We have a pretty good footprint there, and we've over the last 2 years, since the product's been out, we've established a few dozen in North America. And the CEO decided that this year we're going to really blow it out with our presence, our brand, and make sure that people take advantage of the collective value that our software offers.
Okay, great. And are there any other markets that you're currently playing strongly in?
Actually, Latin America is big. They're centered on, a lot of markets are centered on cost, as you'd imagine. Today. They don't want to invest in upfront. And a lot of the offerings out there require thresholds of investment. Ours don't. There's no really threshold of investment. You can start with the software and download it free off of our website. You can provision it out for one user or hundreds, and it's a pay-as-you-go approach. So it's very passive as far as how you deploy it. You don't have to really invest in capital. It runs on generic Intel servers, so anybody that's familiar with managing servers, hosting, and understands the Linux, it's a Linux-based platform, so they just basically install our image and start provisioning. They don't actually have to know anything about Linux.
Right.
It just runs on a Linux kernel.
Okay, all right, great. And are you providing this both to the enterprise market and the service provider market?
We do. We offer it to anybody that has that knowledge. There's a lot of companies. We're talking to government entities that have data centers of their own. They manage. They have a lot of bright people and talent, but they're cost-centric now, and they have a lot of distributed challenges. And how do you compress your data centers and still give the same level of service or greater service to your users? And in government, mobility is becoming more and more a thing to reckon with. Their PBXs, the legacy PBXs they have, don't support them.
Right.
And so we can, in the interim, help them transition by being bolted to their legacy, and then connect their mobility even through to their legacy equipment, and help them transition to that cloud model that everybody's trying to venture in these days. So.
Yeah. The mobility piece of it is very important, isn't it? I mean, because when it comes to unified communications, I mean, you're really not harnessing the full value of UC unless you have mobility tied to it.
Let's face it, everybody is untethered now.
Right.
Even in an office, how many people have untethered phones? We all have them at home, or we have them on us, but the average business device is wired.
Right.
And you can't miss a call today. That's the challenge. You have to use the mobile devices if you're going to respond quickly to your customers, sustain the customer care level that they're expecting.
Right.
If you don't respond, they don't leave voicemail anymore.
Right.
If you don't answer the phone,
yeah,
you've missed the business in a lot of cases.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Also equally important, I think, for those companies that want the option to create a soft phone version also.
Correct. We can use generic products. In fact, we're partnered with a company called Counterpath and utilize their soft phone. We're compatible with that and several other ones. But it allows people to allow those products to be on their mobile devices. I have one on my Android pad that I can, anytime I turn it on, I can utilize the Wi-Fi to be my calling device rather than use my cellular minutes. So it cost reduces that. It provides that seamless feel to the caller that when they call the company, they get the person without strange things happening or different sounds, different ringing tones or anything.
Right. Yep.
So it really is the converged solution going forward, we think, and having a product that allows you to pick and choose what devices are connected to it and not limit your choices like ours, I think is a big part of what will help us get traction in the market.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that's a key thing there too, across all devices as well. Yeah. So.
Right.
Okay, great. And speaking to the mobility piece, you're going to be presenting in a session later this afternoon on mobility and collaboration. Is that right?
Right. There's a lot of choices that people have to start making. CIOs of companies have to figure out what their decision. They have a huge part of their budget going into mobility. There's this collaboration choices they have, and it really comes down to is what's the strategy. Right. It's kind of like Jello. It's moving right now, kind of fluid, and they have to figure out a strategy. So we have a good panel, and hopefully there'll be some good questions that come out of that collectively we'll all think a little different after the conference. So.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Good. Well, thanks very much for your time, Mike. We've been talking to Mike Ross, president of 4PSA. Coming to you from IT Expo East 2011 in Miami. Thanks again for your time.
Great talking with you, Pat.